Real quick, this video is part of a new series where we share the exact trades that we have done in the previous month, so you can learn from all the lessons that we have learned, so you don't have to make the same mistakes if we make any mistakes. So if you don't want to miss out on the next episode, make sure to follow. We don't put any advertisements on those podcasts. So do us a favor, subscribe, and the benefit of all the lessons that we push out. And with that being said, let's head back to the video. So before we dive into exactly which trades we did over the duration of October, let's quickly recap what actually happened in October, because there were so many different events. It's actually insane, man. Like, we had a Bitcoin all-time high at the beginning of October. We had the biggest liquidation event ever
in history
on October the 10th. And then we had a relief rally right after. Was it a relief rally? Sort of.
Yeah, you can call it a little relief rally.
A little relief rally. All right. I mean, Bitcoin, I think it went to 150,000. So
yeah,
that's all right. So we had those three major parts in October, and let's dive a bit into like each of them, so everyone understands also the conditions. I mean, most people who will watch this will also will have felt the different phases, but it feels like October is a month which felt like a year.
Yeah.
There were so many different things happening. So let's start with the beginning of October. And that's also I would say let's directly dive into what we actually did in the first 6 days.
Yeah.
So we went into the month with a 100% USDT allocation.
Yeah.
Then Bitcoin broke all-time highs. And I think it was the long-term trend which triggered to get back into the market, right?
Yeah, it was just the signals both turning pretty green, from a neutral to negative state.
So we did something which, when we think back, doesn't sound that logical. So we opened actually a Bitcoin position, but with a twist. And we get into the twist in a second, because on October 10th, we actually closed the position again while we were seeing the dump. So during the dump, we basically saw crazy liquidations all across the board. Do you want to say a couple of things regarding the dump? I mean, we covered that already.
Yeah. I mean, it was just 20 billion got liquidated in a single day. Huge moves on coins like Sui. You can see here on the charts, it went down minus 84%. And we'll talk about it later, what we also did. But pretty much altcoins went to zero, and Bitcoin went down $16,000 in a single candle.
Yeah, and which is insane. I think
it's the biggest ever.
Yeah,
just from a nominal candle.
It's crazy. And it's not just the liquidations, also the pure market cap that just got way away from it. It was I think I saw numbers ranging from close to 400 billion to 500 billion.
Yeah, that's it.
So we had those huge crashes for altcoins. If you're interested in understanding why the market crashed exactly, we did a video on that. So I would recommend to watch that, because this video is not for that purpose, or we don't do this video for that purpose. And then we had the relief rally where we basically did nothing. Yep. So in total, documented trades, we get into why I say that in a second. We had two. So we opened a Bitcoin position, and we closed the Bitcoin position again. So we had two trades. And our performance, the interesting part, was minus 1.3%, I think. I have the exact number right here. Yeah, minus 1.3%. And now that's very important. If you are a crypto investor, which I believe you are, you don't want to measure your performance purely in US dollars. You also want to measure it versus Bitcoin, and you want to measure it versus Ethereum. Why do we do that, Jack?
Because Bitcoin is historically seen the best asset in the world, and you just want to hold more of it. It doesn't make sense to compare your portfolio holdings against an asset which is going to zero over term, right? The US dollar has lost, it's like a shitcoin. It has lost 99 points, I don't know how much percent of its value. And we don't want to, keep measuring our performance against a depreciating asset. We want to measure it versus the best assets in the world. So versus Bitcoin, we had an amazing performance, 6.7%. And versus ETH, our portfolio outperformed by 10.7%, which, was very good. I was happy, and I think a lot of people, most of them, especially their altcoins went down 30, 40%. And a lot of people also got leveraged, wiped out. So I think a small loss of like 1% and big gains versus Bitcoin and ETH. And if you measure it versus altcoins,
must be.
We made a shit ton of money.
I don't have the data in front of me.
And also, we made an unofficial trade because not everyone was awake. It was not an official signal, but we caught Sui with a few members at 78 cents. Right, I told everyone to buy because that's a one in a lifetime opportunity, and we closed the trade. But that is not officially in the stats because not everyone. It was like more of a special thing. And it was not big size also. It was a good trade. The fastest amount of money I ever made in my life.
And I wait watching the movie. So, this was so sad, man. So actually crazy performance. And just to visualize that in numbers. So if you invested $200,000 at the start of the month and followed our system precisely, you would end up at $197,000 at the end of the month, maybe a bit less. Like if you would have been invested in Bitcoin, you would have ended up at, I think, 186,000 if I calculated correctly, right? So, and versus...
Oh yeah, 200K. Yeah, okay. No, then I thought for some reason 100K.
Next time we take the example with 100,000. Either. And versus Ethereum, like if you would have held like Ethereum 100% for the whole month, you would have ended up at 180,000, a bit below it, so $178,000. And I think now it's important to like talk about why we didn't trade. So because Jack, our analyst in Crypto Game Plan, actually was measuring the exact the data that I think only a very few people actually looked at. And I would say let's expose this to everyone. So why didn't we take a lot of trades and a lot of risk in the portfolio?
Yeah, so basically it's not that we didn't trade, we just had two trades, you know, opening and closing BTC. So, you know, most people, they were probably asking themselves like, why did these guys have 100% USD when we were going up, we were close to all-time highs, etc. First of all, and why were they not holding any altcoins, right? Because everyone got wrecked and everyone was like, how did you see to not hold any altcoins? And I was like, why were you holding altcoins? It doesn't make sense to me. So basically, all altcoin trends on the others dominance chart, others BTC, others ETH, they were all down. So this is the first thing why we weren't holding altcoins. Second of all, the dominance by open interest was super high, right? From altcoins versus Bitcoin and versus the rest of the market, as you can see here. And every time it was above or close to the Bitcoin open interest, we had huge liquidation events after and a repricing of the entire dominance market. Also, the volatility was at lows we hadn't seen since 2023, which for me indicates that there's always big moves going to come, right? Because when volatility contracts, it expands after that, right? And you can see here on the chart, it's a little bit small, right? But whatever, you can see it, that the volatility was super low and we were at all-time highs. So it was either we're going to have a God candle or it's all going to go down. But I knew like volatility is going to expand. And most of the times when volatility expands, it's when prices go down. On top of that, we had liquidation, a lot of liquidations below price. If you look at the liquidation heat map, it didn't make sense to me to take on inherent risk. And this is why also when we got the signal to go into the market, I told everyone not to go in with full position. And I told everyone I'm super bearish at the moment and I would not take inherent risk. So while everyone was screaming for all-time highs, oh my God, this is it, we're going to 150, 60, 70, 80K. Nvidia, the stock market is at all-time high, gold is at all-time high, let's go all in, let's put even some leverage. I was just looking at the data and also the funding rates were pretty elevated. And I was just like, it just didn't feel right. All the data was like, there was too much leverage in the system. And especially the liquidation heat maps were throwing me off. And that was very unusual. And here you can see also the move from the 26th of September up to the 10th of October was like purely leverage driven, right? And I was talking about this, that this move was not spot buying. It was like purely leverage. And that's not a good sign. That's not what you want to see. So yeah, then we opened, closed for a small loss. And yeah, that was it. And we opened it obviously not at the top. Otherwise people are, oh, why is it down only 1%, right? It was around here. And yeah, that is why we didn't trade.
Yeah. I think that sums it up pretty damn well. So you had an edge because you were looking at data no one else was looking at.
Yeah.
We know that for a fact. We had leverage in the system like a couple of times before, but it was like a very like warning.
Especially the altcoin leverage, man.
Yeah.
Super high.
And no spot buying for altcoins as well. Like spot buying, like some altcoins were like 100% future driven.
Yeah.
And you see that, like if you compare like all the different like performances of all the coins during the crash, you can pretty much see which altcoins had actually some spot buying interest and which ones didn't.
Yeah.
Like for example, Atom. This was
Went to zero.
It went like to zero. Like, and there was one guy like calculating it. If you got lucky, you could have bought like so much of it.
Oh man, I think a guy actually bought like 13% of this. Really?
Imagine, man.
Yeah.
I think those are like the three major things. System was bearish or was bearish going into the month, so we didn't hold any altcoins.
Altcoin was all the time bearish.
Yeah, so
Throughout the month.
and still is. I think this is a pretty good like thing for you to understand. We go.
But it can change tomorrow. Do not forget that. Right? Not only, I don't know when this video comes out, but this is the 1st of November of 2025. Right now, we are 100% in USD, but tomorrow if the price pumps, I will go into the market. Right? So just take that into consideration. We're just looking at what we did and why we did it so that you gain an edge and you can become profitable investors.
I think that's a very important note. Now, I know it's a common problem in crypto, right? You shouldn't do anything. Maybe some people even looked at the data and were like, maybe I should open up a long as well. And it's pretty hard to do like nothing in terms of doing actual trades.
Yeah.
I would say as an analyst, like a guy who's doing like analysis every fucking single day, what is your routine during times like this?
And to me, it's just another day. You know, I don't really care if I'm in the market or not. And I guess I get all the dopamine maybe that you want from the market is just from the data, which I'm looking at every day. So I've got my routines, I have my systems, I'm doing more research every day. I'm trying out new combinations because I know that all systems eventually, they will have some decay and people will catch up and information is going to spread and then you need to invent on top of what you already have. So I'm working all day and all night just to get the best systems in the world, gathering new correlation data, looking at macro, doing some research on Twitter, just also waiting for when to come back again, because from our perspective, you need to understand we're in cash. So it's like the opposite of most people in October. So I'm like, okay, when would it be most plausible to get in? How's the treasury refinancing looking in the first week of November? When do I think the bottom could happen? Is it when the short-term holder SOPR reaches a certain level? You know, I'm just looking at my data and analyzing and talking to people I know, to the community, looking at coins, doing some analysis on the big trends which are coming. We have identified the biggest trends which will probably pop off, right, in the next, bull market phase going into January, February, March. I think it's pretty obvious where it's going to go. And this is what we did instead, right? Instead of trading and looking, oh my God, are my coins going to go up and down? Just looking at numbers and getting better every day. And that's what we're all doing in the community right now.
Yeah. I think it's like also like a lot of people joined in October because they felt like something is off about
lucky guys, man. So many lucky guys.
And like we have a couple of customers that we pressure to get rid of their altcoins.
Saved some lives, man.
Yeah, we actually
we actually did.
Yeah, like the one woman I'm currently thinking of, she's writing me every Friday that she's very thankful for me, like being very, very honest, like that with her. So
it's beautiful.
Yeah, it's very fulfilling. So we're defining the systems, and this is also like one thing why we are able to share this stuff that we are currently sharing. Like we share with you the framework that we have used for this crash, but who knows if this will be enough for to predict the next crash, right?
Yeah.
So it's valuable. You will already be ahead like of 90% of the people out there. So you will already, like, you have a framework now that a lot of people out there don't have, besides all of the other people who are watching this video. So don't share it. Don't tell anyone. Keep it to yourself. And next time when we see a crash, you will see another video of us doing that. And maybe there will be another indicator that we will have looked at, which warned us.
That's why you need to constantly refine your edge and look for new data points.
Yeah, I think those times are especially good for that, right? You don't have to manage positions. So I would say you have you have more mental bandwidth to do other stuff. And most people then tend to do like nothing.
Yeah.
They tend to go on vacations. They tend to be like, do like stuff outside, touch the grass, play some video games, like something like that. So if you have times where you're able to continue to improve your like edge, use it for exactly that, and don't do like any other stuff, or have people like us doing that for you. And yeah, like during this month, I maybe want to add like a quote here. One quote came to my mind like all the time. And this was from Dalio. It was from like some podcast that he did or some interview. And he said like everybody pays attention to returns. This is you going into October. And they don't pay attention to risks as much. This is you during October. And that's one of the reasons we have been successful, because we think that this way. So we actually looked at the risk. So we didn't enter high, or we didn't just look at the returns, we looked at the risk. And if you didn't do that, and here we continue the quote of Dalio, if you lose 50%, you've got to make 100% to get back. Meaning we go into the next pump with a lot of dry powder. Like we basically lost nothing, right? So we have all the cash available for the next pump that is about to come. So with every single opportunity, doesn't matter if it's an opportunity to be like early to a trend or to be early to get out of the market, we always get one step further ahead of everyone who's not using a system like ours. This reminds me a lot of one guy who actually joined a bit late this month after the crash, because he had a friend who was inside of the program. And he did exceptionally good using our system, and he lost a bunch of money. So he was like...
It was actually his system he used, not ours.
His system, true, he was finished with it.
Yeah, and he didn't even enter. So he lost zero money, actually.
Yeah,
he didn't even lose 1%.
Damn, he's superior. It's already happening.
I don't know, man. Just for 1 month, maybe.
The teachings are working. So little guy actually like came in after, because he knew that we are doing something that like actually works. And he was on a call with me and like some of the other members of the program, and he was like, did you guys actually manage to sell? And then the woman that I was speaking of was saying, Robin and Jacques both told me to get out of my portfolio and sell everything, and 3 days later the market crashed. She was still in altcoins till this call with me, and she lost like I think 2,000 euros, which was some money for her, but she would have lost so much more.
Yeah, man. And I remember the portfolio.
I think he shared a lot of Dogecoin. Yeah, this is just like a quick story that I wanted to share. All right, do you want to take the next part?
Now we're just looking at what most people probably did and how we can, kind of fix that mindset, right? Because we really want to help. And for that, first, we need to identify like what most people did. And going into October, everyone was talking about October, Q4, and us included. I was pretty bullish, I'm not going to lie. But my systems, I'm listening to them. So it's cool. I can be retarded. I can be bullish, but my portfolio doesn't lose money. Or if I do the wrong move. So that's pretty much a cool thing about it. But anyways, everyone was basically just like super bullish. Going into October, nice. It's all going to go up. And we go up, we go up, and we go up. Everyone, especially at all-time highs, it's a big party. Nvidia is going up, the stock market is going up, gold is shooting to 4,200, 300. Don't remember how high it went. Now it's our time. We're gonna get in. And because Bitcoin is probably breaking out, let me put a 2x leverage on, I don't know, any altcoin position, Link, Ondo, Render, whatever bullshit coins most people are holding. And then it's like, because most people, they cannot really abstain themselves from leverage trading, right? So there's this meme here from Family Guy, me, and then full margin mode. And yeah, that's actually the sad reality of most people. And I think that a lot of people, I mean, we can literally see it in the data, 20 billion got liquidated. Yeah. So obviously a lot of people were in a lot of leverage. And and then they woke up probably, or maybe even saw it live, all their position getting liquidated in 5 to 15 minutes. Portfolio maybe down 30, 40%, maybe for a short amount of periods, even more. A lot of shock, a lot of liquidation, a lot of anger, a lot of sadness. A lot of people were blaming the market, saying it's manipulated. And there's actually also a pretty funny meme, this one. You're not a bad trader, the market is just rigged. And that was a lot of people. Yeah, I know. And if they look at this meme, they laugh. But I'm like, bro, that was you. That was you like a few days ago. And, I saw everyone like, oh my God, it's manipulated. Like, obviously it's manipulated, but you could have maybe seen it in the data, like we did. You could maybe have seen, done a little bit more research, and you could have maybe taken more accountability instead of blaming. A lot of people just blame the market, CZ, it was Binance, it was this, and it was that, but they never look inside and were like, shit, what could have I done better? And a lot of destruction. There's even one guy who unalived himself. I'll say it like that for YouTube. I don't know if we can say it.
Maybe we have to be better.
He was a guy in Ukraine, I think. He was found in his Lamborghini. So, a lot of bad stuff also. But that's pretty much how most people were shocked. A lot of people came to us like, what should I do now? Should I sell after this? Like a lot of confusion. It's like after a bomb hits a city or something, there's a shock. Everyone's like, oh shit, what's happening? What just happened? After a big, terrible thing. And but a lot of people also made it out well with cash. And I hope that we can teach everyone how to do that.
Yeah.
So that's the state of most people. How it happened.
And if you are like part of the few people who, when you look at that meme and say, okay, I knew the market was manipulated, but I could have done better. If you are open to becoming better and trading the next crash better, then listen now, because we will show you how to manage those crashes. But you will only be able to receive this information and actually do something with it if you are able to work on yourself and actually take responsibility. And only a few people can do that. But I believe you can do that. If you watch those podcasts regularly, I know that you're able to work on yourself, because we are not people who just chill coins. We actually only share education on how to become a better investor, and I know a lot of people out there actually use the information and become better. So if you're part of that group, listen now, because we will share the framework of how to trade or how to position yourself better before the next crash or before a crash like this happens next time. And again, because it's a framework where I have to say, this is not mine. This is completely developed by this guy. So if you want to, you can just share the exact things that led us to only lose 1%.
Listen, guys, listen. I'm going to spit some alpha now. All right. No, so how did we do this, and what filters can you use, right? And I have written down 6. The first one, we already looked at it, and that is the open interest dominance, right? Dominance by open interest. And what happened here, you can see it, this orange line was above the blue one, and it was super elevated, which means altcoins were super highly over leveraged. And no matter in what market conditions we are, if altcoins are over leveraged, that's typically a sign of like high euphoria, even though sentiment wasn't too good, but it's not a thing you see before prices go to the moon, right? That's things you see before prices go down and before you see huge liquidations. How do I know that? Because I have looked at it, and you can see here, we had the exact same number here in the 31st of March of 2024, which was the Pico top of the altcoin markets, right? And for Bitcoin too. After that, it only went sideways for 8 months, and all altcoins went down 80 to 90% after that, right? So it's just basic pattern recognition. And here again, when did it fire? 7th of December. Once again, it was a Pico top, right? So for me, I just looked at it again. I was like, okay, that's not good. I will certainly not long any altcoins, right? Or not buy any altcoins. That is the first thing that it's good to monitor, because altcoins are high beta of Bitcoin, and they can tell you the state of the market. Are we super overbought? Are we super oversold? Is there a lot of risk in the market? Is there a lot of speculation in the market? And this chart was showing there's a lot of speculation in the market and a lot of leverage, which tends to get punished every single time. Second point, volatility charts. We had charts like the BTC Vol, implied volatility index, and also another one, which was from Crypto Quant, but I don't have it on right now. And they were showing extremely low levels of volatility. Now, that's typically not a good sign, because what happens if volatility is very low, it means that at some point it expands, right? Volatility doesn't stay compressed. It moves. Everything moves. It goes up and it goes down. It's not just a straight line, right? So it was down from levels we hadn't seen in 2 years, 2 to 3 years. So I was like, okay, a big move is going to come. And this big move, it can go either way. It doesn't mean that it goes up or down. But once again, like Robin said, you want to always manage your risk. And if it's like a coin flip, 50-50, if you go all in on a 50-50, that's a pretty dumb trade, right? Imagine you're like, a guy tells you, I flip a coin, you put your whole net worth on it. And if you lose, you lose your whole net worth. Is that really a good trade, 50-50? No, it's not. So that was a cue for me, like, don't go too crazy, right? Don't do any crazy stuff. Then the funding rates were pretty elevated, and you can see that on the Velo chart as well. They were pretty high. They were not at all-time highs like we had seen prior, a few months prior, but they were super elevated, right? If we were to draw a line, which we can see here on the screen, they were actually, pretty high, right? If you take the average and if you look at all the other months, only a few times here, we went over it here a little bit, and every time actually it was a top, right? You can see here, blue line, it was a small top, blue line, small top, blue line, small top, blue line, small top, blue line, I could go on and on. So that was another thing, and that's pretty good for short-term moves. If you have like extreme, also if the funding rate is pretty negative, it's a pretty good buy zone in general. So things like that as well. We had elevated funding rates, which was not good to see. Then this was maybe the main thing, the liquidation heat maps. That was crazy. So make sure to watch the liquidation heat maps. And even now we have a huge liquidity down here, right? Around the $94,000 level. I'm not saying that we will go down there, but I'm kind of seeing this risk, and I don't like the fact that there's a lot of liquidation sitting at 94,000. For me, I'm not going to go risk on right now, like directly, unless I see things change. And yeah, so we didn't touch the liquidation cluster here. We went up, and I was like, that's super fishy. Like, that never happens. That was a forced move up, and then the market corrected and we went back down all the way. So liquidation heat maps can give you a good hint, of risks in the markets.
And on top of that, this move was also over the weekend, right?
Yeah, that move here because we almost got to this liquidation level, and someone, I don't know, they pushed the prices up on a Sunday, and we never ever bought them on a Friday or on a Sunday. Like, that's super rare in the crypto markets. So I was also like, that just smells fishy. Something's up. Yeah, everyone got liquidated here in the 6 month. You can see it as well. We were up here and this was super bright yellow. What happened? Boom, just go under it. Now here, yeah, we're having a high liquidation cluster as well. Then Bitcoin dominance was going down a lot before, and what goes down must go up at some point again, right? There's always this equilibrium, and BTC dominance was like down only from June, and it was due for a small recovery, and it was pretty flat here. And then I was telling everyone Bitcoin dominance just needs to go up. And what happens with Bitcoin dominance, it only goes up when Bitcoin goes up and altcoins go up less than Bitcoin, which is very rare. It doesn't happen often, where you have God candles on Bitcoin and it just sucks up the liquidity out of the market. It happens, but it's rare. Most of the time when Bitcoin dominance goes up, it is because Bitcoin crashes and altcoins crash even more. So I was like, this was more of a 90-10 thing. So if Bitcoin dominance goes up, it is probably because altcoins go down more than Bitcoin, right? And this is the first thing I was looking at, because the odds are just better. They're just in the favor of the second scenario happening, right? Of BTC going down and altcoins going down more. The last point is others' dominance trend. And it was clearly in the red since a few days. I think prior to that, maybe prior to the crash, it was already red. We were out of altcoins since a longer time. So it doesn't really make sense to hold altcoins, does it? Why would I hold any altcoins or major coins if all the trends are red, right? Others' dominance was red. A lot of indicators were just red. On TradingView, right? It's very easy to find. You can just go on others.d and then you can play some indicators. You can see here, right? It was a pretty obvious downtrend already for so many days, right? How can you miss this? And then boom, we had the big crash. So that is the framework with the things you can look at. Like Robin said, it's dynamic. The market changes all the time, so it can change in the future. But it's a very good reference point, and I believe at the beginning right now, it is already a chart setup, of like, or a framework which puts you ahead of 99% of people, and that doesn't make you lose money, right? And lets you keep your hard-earned money.
Yeah. So with this framework, we will have a very similar performance to us in the next crash, which has like the same like symptoms, right? If it's a crash which is driven by liquidation cascades and so on and so forth, you will perform better than most people out there. There are a number of people who got completely wrecked in October is like crazy. I think I never have seen those numbers of people actually getting liquidated.
Yeah.
So this is a very powerful framework, and not a lot of people out there know this. So you're welcome. So let's sum it up with maybe 1 to 2 lessons that you have learned in October, if there are any.
Data is everything. Don't listen to the media, but for me, I'm already in that mode, but this reinforced me, and it just showed me how little people know, right? I saw so many people on leverage, so many people just looking at news and going gig along because some guy said it's going up, the RSI is going to go up, gold is going up, the S&P 500 is going up. That means that we're going to go to the moon. So it just showed me again that most of people were leveraged apes, and you really need to be professional in this space. So that is what I have really, it was more a reminder than a new lesson.
Yeah.
Because sometimes I'm a bit too optimistic, I guess. I think that everyone is like kind of professional. They know what they're doing, but
no,
they're not.
Yeah, it's basically a space full of gamblers. And the only way to beat gamblers is using a system, and this also like ties into my lesson. I think this just like showed me again how powerful the system is and how good it is to simply trust it, because I also felt like FOMO around like the $126,000 all-time high. I was like thinking, oh, maybe I'm under like allocated to the market. But like in the end, it was the exact thing that I should have done and that I actually did. So my lesson is very simple. If you have a system, trust it. If you know that it works, don't listen to your emotions, even if they scream at you. This is a space which is designed to make you emotional. Stick with your logic, because this is the only thing that will save you and make you profitable in this market. And the market doesn't care about your conviction. It only cares about where like the market goes, right? It doesn't care about your personal opinion. Just believe in something that is built on logic and like takes away the uncertainty.
Yeah.
It takes away your own bias and your own view on the market. I think this sums it up perfectly. If you want to see the next sum up of all the trades, lessons, and maybe some secret frameworks that we are about to expose at the end of November, make sure to hit the subscribe button. Yeah, as I said, don't share this with anyone. This is too powerful to be shared. The less people know about this, the better it is for you. So make sure that this channel doesn't get a lot of subscribers.
At some point it will, so it's better to act upon it early, because in a few years we'll have so many views. I'm just warning you, if like the edge you're getting, it's right now. If you really want an edge, apply it right now, because in 2-3 years everyone's going to know.
Exactly. So yeah, use this time, because you can actually profit with the free information that we put out right now. And yeah, with that being said,
November is going to be 200K.
200K. Oh, nice, man. 200K for Bitcoin.
It would be good, a little bit of bullish action, but let's see. Maybe I don't know.
Maybe if Jerome starts posting bullish Bitcoin memes. So then maybe. All right. So with that being said, see you in the next episode. It was a pleasure. And yeah,
see you in the next one, guys.
Bye-bye.